Hey everybody, Raziel here, coming back at you this week with another Smite God build for the Xbox One or any platform really. This week we are bringing to you Ra, the Egyptian sun god. He's the mage that you get right out of the box when you download the game. He's the last free god you get. So figured we bring him to this series. It's time for the mage. He's a healer. Kind of more of a utility-based mage, more than considered a burst damage kind of god. But he can do some damage, so don't get me wrong on that. So, before we get going on, this video is meant for people who are new to the god, people who haven't used Ra in a while and want a refresher, and people just just want to check it out, bone up, see what I bring to the table for a build guide and everything else. So if you like the video, please hit that thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel for more future Smite content and anything else I may upload in the upcoming weeks, months, etc. You can also catch me live at Rausium_Inc. and hit me up at Twitter when I post when I'm going live, on Twitch, and when I post new videos and everything else, and random musings, etc., etc. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, we're going to go over, in this video, his abilities, or as I call his kit, the relics. You can potentially, or lean towards, his item build, which would be primarily just for conquest. And then we'll go over his builds, ability builds for ranking up his kit, and, combos and everything else. But before we do that, let's get into something I always go over in every video, and that's the abilities. I use the Savage button layout on the Xbox One. Obviously, this could change for you if you use a different layout on the Xbox One. The PS4 has different buttons altogether, and the PC and Mac have a completely different UI compared to the consoles. So because of that, I'm going to call out his kit as 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being the one all the way on the left, 4 being his ultimate. So when I call out 1, 2, and 3, and 4, this is what I mean by those abilities below. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's go over his abilities. First is his passive. It's called Speed of Light. Every time he uses an ability, his movement speed is increased. And as you can see from his passive meter, I believe I'm pointing in the right spot, down there, right to the left of his health bar, there's 3 circles in there. So that stacks up to 3 times. So every time he uses the ability, within a timer that will pop up right there around that the semicircle there of his passive meter, he'll gain a 6% speed increase. Now this can obviously go up to 18% movement speed for 15 seconds. Not too bad. And if you cast another ability within those 50 seconds, it refreshes. So early on, he can get some pretty good speed, and it also helps him when he's trying to get away, if he's getting ganked in mid lane, etc., etc. I'm gonna crack my elbow. Let's go on to his 1. Celestial Beam. This is his main wave clear. This is his main damage dealing ability. It's a line, goes in a straight line from where you're looking at. He summons a moving beam of intense light from the sky, doing damage to anyone caught under the beam. So it doesn't stop, it continues through. So if it hits an enemy right in front of him, it's not going to stop. It's just going to continue down the entire length of his beam there. And at max rank it goes, 335 plus an additional 75% of his magical power. So I always use, and you'll probably have more than this, I always use 100 magical power. That's 445 damage right there. Against another mage, a squishy assassin, that could be a quarter of his health. Not too shabby. And it's not that hard to hit, really. It may seem like it, but it's not too hard. And it does a wave clear, early mid game, late game, just clear, the minions just get melted away. Pun intended a little bit because it's the sun, etc., etc. We move on to his 2 here, which is Divine Light. This, I never really thought anything about this ability until recently, when I was playing a Wheelix against a Ra, a competent Ra. And because of this, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna bring Ra to the table for the next god build when I have the Mage in the rotation. Because this ability here I think is underutilized. And I played, 5 to 10 games of Raw after that, with the mentality that the competent Raw guy I was going against had done. Divine light starts to emanate from Raw, stacking a slow every 0.5 seconds on enemies near him. No, in a radius. In a 30-unit radius, if there's any enemies within that 30-unit radius, there's a slow stacked on them every half a second. After 2 seconds, the light detonates, doing damage and increasing the slow duration. There we go, cracked my neck. Any enemies that are facing Ra when this happens are also blinded. So it's like a flashbang. CSGO flashbang right there, So if you're within the radius, you get hit with 220 damage, plus 30% of his magical power. So what, 250 if you got 100 power. That's not too bad. The main thing is it's a 5% slow per stack. And if it stacks every half a second for 2 seconds, that's a 20% slow that is applied to you. You're in that flashbang area, essentially, the whole duration. That's what pissed me off when I was playing against that Raw. And if I'm in the detonation, there's an additional 3 seconds, I think, on top of that for that slow. So in essence, what this boils down to is a weakening curse without the healing reduction. Every 12 seconds without any cooldown reduction. That's pretty damn potent when you think about it. Because I was in the Wheelix. Any god where you need to get close to a Ra. Any god. Save maybe Loki because it's Loki. They pop this and they do a combo on you. You can get melted and you're going to be swearing at the screen because that's what happened to me. I was just dumbfounded about this because I forgot about this part of the damn ability. I thought it was just like a flashbang. Forgot completely about the slow. So maybe it's more like a concussive freaking grenade. I don't know what's with the CSGO or whatever grenade references right now. We're just going to go with it. It's potent. So keep it in your rotation. Keep it in your back pocket because I used it a lot to keep an Arachne off my ass, etc. History. Let's go on to it. Solar Blessing. This is his heal. 20 unit radius. You can put it anywhere within, his range there. And it's, Ra summons a pillar of light. Allies inside the radius are healed every second. Enemies are damaged. So damage per tick is 68 at max rank plus 20% of your magical power. So almost 90 a tick for, 6 seconds. So what's that? 540 damage if they stay in the beam of light the whole time. Not bad. Again, that's a quarter of life. So you hit that and you won. You didn't have to life. And we're not even gotten to his ultimate yet. Any allies are healed for 60 plus 15% of his magical power. So again, if you had 100, which you should at max rank have more than 100, that's what? 75 for 6 seconds? I can't do the math on that. We're just going to go with it's not too shabby. Alright? The cooldown's not too bad. It's his heal. Excuse me. This is one of the main reasons why Ra is a god that helps sustain and is a utility more than a burst damage because it's damage over time. It's not the, bam, get the hell out of dodge kind of scenario like a Scylla or a Raijin maybe or something. Anyway, let's move on to his ultimate. Searing Pain. Now, if you have ever played Ra or played against the Ra, you know this. You know the sound when he does it. He calls on the power of the sun and decimates his foes in an extreme blast of heat in front of him. So pretty much he goes Iron Man, from the chest and blasts straight forward in a line similar to his one, but a lot more damage. All right? A lot more damage. Damaging all enemies unlikely enough to find themselves in the path. So again, like his one, it will not stop on the first god. It will go in the path. If for some reason the worlds, the gods, the line, whatever, and your entire enemy team is in that line for whatever reason, You could get a pentakill off of this one ability if freaking you were lucky enough. So it's 700 damage at max rank, plus 100% of your magical power. Again, max rank should have more than 100 magical power, but say if you did only have 100 magical power, that's 800 right there. That again is almost half, if not half, of a squishy mage or assassin. So, and you know, you're not going to be popping this when they're full health. You're going to want this as a kind of a cleanup scenario. They're getting away from you. They're trying to get away from your allies or something. Everything else. Now, he can't move when he does this. He stays stationary for like a second or so, and it's almost instant, but I think there is a slight delay where he kind of puts his arms up and starts screaming. So if you kind of have to lead the ability to get the hits. And when they're not stunned or knocked or rooted from your allies, because that's also another good time to do it. Say Ymir freezes them and you do it. That's a good combo right there. But you got to lead them, and it's satisfying when they're trying to run away and you pop them with the ult, and they're like, shit, that just happened. Damn you, raw. Anyway, that's his abilities. I hope that was beneficial, because again, he's right out of the box. Some people may not have used him in a while. Like his 2 ability, I completely forgot about the slow, and it pissed me off so bad that night until it clicked. You know, he's got a slow on his freaking kit. Alright, so next we're going to go over to his relics. I say this every time. These things and his items are situational. It depends on what's on your team comp and what the enemy team comp is. They have an Ares, you're automatically going to get Purification. They have a Fenrir, Purification. They don't have anyone that you really have to worry about CC on, Pumbas or anything else, then you might be fine. You may not go Purification. You may go straight into Sanctuary, or Sprint, or Shell, or Thorns. Thorns is the new thing back, which was Shield of the Underworld. So maybe even the Ghost little Spectre thing, so you can go through enemy walls. That being said, more times than not, because this build that I'm going to give you is for Conquest, can be used in every game mode except for maybe Assault, because that's very particular. You may want to go Defense first, or MP5, etc. And you're always going to want to have Meditation as your first relic in Assault, anytime, no matter what god, because you can't go back to Fountain. But we're going back to Conquest here. You're most likely, 99% of the time, going to be playing in mid if you're playing Raw, where you called out mid and you're playing Raw. So, he doesn't have much in the way of escapes. His passive does help him when he's trying to escape, but a Purification is most likely going to be picked up first, because everyone and their sister has some form of CC now in this game. And a Sanctuary will be picked up second for a relic. Why? Because those will help him get the hell away. He can pop a few abilities, get that 18% movement speed, and help him run away. Plus, he can drop down that heal if he gets too hairy and heal himself up, and maybe he'll be fine. Get under tower, throw that heal down, etc., etc. Now, getting into items. You're in mid lane, and for your starter, your starter could be one of two things. Most people are going to lean towards Soulstone, because it gives you that 20 magical power, it gives you 100 mana, and it gives you an extra MP5, which is always good, especially for a mage. And you can do additional damage if you hit once you hit 5 souls. Assume those souls do an extra 60 magical power, etc. So it's a good starter item for a mage. You could also, depending on what your confidence is, go Vampiric Shroud, because it also gives you 20 magical power. It gives you health. It gives you 5 MP5. So essentially, the only difference between these two is the health and the mana, and the passive here is you get health and mana back when you kill an enemy. That includes minions. Or you get that extra burst damage from the other one. So depending on your playstyle, you can go Soulstone or you can go Vampiric Shroud. I'm going to go with Soulstone because that's, you want that little extra damage. Now, this is for patch 3.11, I believe. 3.11? Oh, I think it might be 3.12. Either way, it's the patch before. Yeah, I think it's 3.12. The next patch, 3.13, which comes out on the PC, takes out the power pods, the purple and red. So those aren't going to be part of your starting rotation. So you're going to go next. You're going to go damage boost. Shoes of the Magi. You're going to want to start those. So you'll probably get the 300 one of these, and then get some health pots and mana pots at the start of the game. And then when you're back, you should be able to get the Shoes of the Magi. And, it gives you the magical power. It gives you penetration. Do a little bit extra more damage. And it gives you 18% movement speed, which is essentially your passive when you have it fully stacked. So when you have your passive in this, you'll have 36% movement speed. So you'll be pretty zippy right around there, for a mage at least, without a dash or anything. The next item you're going to want to go is... what the hell is it? That's not it. It'll be V. Right here, Vampiric... No, Warlock Sash. Why did I say... I think Vampiric Shroud. That's the starter item, isn't it? Warlock Sash. Why? Because it gives you magical power, health, and mana. Plus, you gain 3 health and 0.6 magical power per stack, and up to 100 stacks. So you can get 300 health in addition to the 300 health. So it's an extra 600 health there. Plus another 60 magical power. So 110 magical power, fully stacked. That right there is more than what I was using for an example when I was going over his kit. This one item. By mid game you should definitely have this stacked out. This will help with the wave clears and everything else. So this item is good. Get it as early as you can to get those stacks going on those minions, so you can get that more damage, better heals, etc., etc. Your next item will be Obsidian Shard. Another 70 magical power. But you really want this for the passive. It's cheap too. It's only 2,000 gold. It's cheap, and you gain 33% magical pen, so you'll be hitting a little bit harder as you go.
Right idea.
I mean, it's just a staple item, I think, in most mage builds because it's got that penetration, which is key. Your next item is going to be a Chronos Pendant. Now, I mean, at this point, you're gonna probably, if you're not already, you're gonna be mid-game hitting more of those team fights. Either it's full team, 3v3s or whatever, or full 5v5 team fights. You're going to need extra mana to sustain. This will give you 75 magical power, which is great. Right? It's also going to give you 25 MP5 plus the cooldown reduction. So, I mean, another staple item. People usually stack this earlier on, but with his ability to heal himself and, maybe just keep refreshing mana pots, you might be fine. Okay? So you could maybe push this up if you're getting mana hungry earlier in the game. But this will help out. And if you look, that jumped him up pretty good on the MP5 there. Next item is in the same tree, really. It's Rada Tahuti. It gives you another 125 magical power. Plus 15 MP5. Okay? Plus another 25% magical power. It increases your magical power by 25%. I mean, at this point, you're hitting freaking hard, and you're healing pretty good. Let's just take this without even the stacks. The magical power is 481. Okay? So on his ults, it was what, 700 plus another 481 on max rank? That right there means some damage. That's pretty much half anyone's health, except maybe a guardian, guaranteed. So you hit that if they're in a team fight, you're getting a kill, maybe even a double, depending on how their pathing works out. We're gonna get rid of that though for now. So, if you haven't already sold your starter item, Soulstone or Vampiric Shroud, do so. And, you can go anything really at this point. You can go Bancross for some extra sustain on yourself. You can go Spear of Desolation for just 120 more magical power. And if you even want to go a little bit troll, you can go Gem of Isolation, right? Pop down your healing circle there on enemies and slow them down. I mean, that's 70 magical power too, plus more mana, more health. You could go any of these builds, and you could also go tanky, with a defense item, like Mantle of Discord at the very least, if you're getting pooped on a little bit. Your last item is totally situational, totally how you want to feel. You want more damage, you want more sustainability, you want to be able to slow them down for your friend, your allies to get them, or you just want to be a little bit more of a sponge. That's what you can go. I'm gonna put the mantle just for the hell of it. This may not be the best. I'd say any of those 4 that I just said would work. Okay? That's just Kit in a nutshell. You can also put in what is it? Where's the hat? Where the hell's the damn hat? You can put this in too. The Lotus Crown. If you find yourself going to be doing primarily just healing, which it doesn't really. He can do some damage too. He's not, an Aphrodite. He's not. Aphrodite is pretty much the best example. Chang'e and Hell can do some damage too. You're not going to be tethered to someone, but Lotus Crown will work because it'll give your allies that little extra defense as well. You could throw this in if you find yourself just doing straight healing. You go Boots, Chronos, Lotus Crown, and then do your damage after that. Again, your playstyle, situational to the match, as well. But this build should keep you pretty sustained throughout the game. Maybe get some kills, some assists at the very least, and hopefully that W. So that is that. Now we're going to go over his combos in the kit build, or kit rankings. So here we go. I'm going to go over his abilities here and then go over the which ones you should rank in which order, and then I'm going to go over combos. Okay? So his 1 here, you can see, that's the path right there. Lay it down, zoop, and it keeps going. That's a pretty good path, actually. I really looked at it. I usually just pop it and kind of peel off, so I don't get hit by the enemy trying to get me. His 2 here, see the radius, adds the slow. There, slowed. See the little oomph right there. Plus, his damage and everything else. It's pretty good radius. I usually just keep that if someone feels like encroaching in my bubble here and getting within that radius. His 3 here, I'll put it right next to him. Probably won't heal me, but we'll put this down. It does damage on him, and it heals me. So I'm not showing any healing because I'm full, but as you can see there, he was doing 144 damage per tick. For 6 of those, that's not too bad. That's good. And then his ultimate. Can I line up his ultimate actually here? So I can... Yeah, okay. Now you're going to see here, he's going to throw his arms up and maybe make a noise. There might be a slight pause. But you can also see that it's going to go straight through and hit both of these guys. Now you can't see the second one because my ugly mug in the video is right under it. But I can tell you for a fact I'm hitting both of them. So, you know what? You can't even see that. So, actually, I'll line it up. Just because you get a decent view here. All right, ready? Here we go. Oh, 1,000 a pop. 1044 for each of them. Not too bad. And you can see my passive down there. Over here, this is a weird angle of my hand. Has a circle light lit up and that red timer ticking down. All right, now it's gone. Okay? That's my passive meter. You'll see a lot of people, when they leave the fountain, they'll hit this, and then hit this, and get all 3 going, boom, and they'll have full health, and they got the extra 18%. So, and if you know, I think if you see here, yep, it refreshed. So everything I've said so far has not been a lie. So if you see Era spamming abilities in the fountain, he's not a moron. He's doing it for that passive to get out there into lane a lot quicker. All right, so the order in which you rank up his abilities are going to be this. You're going to hit up his 1, then his 2, then his 3, then his 1, then his 2, then his ult. And then after that, you're going to try to prioritize his 1 every time you can, then his 3, then the ult, and his 2 whenever you are forced to do it. Because his 2 really isn't going to be his damage dealer. His 2 is always going to do the same amount of slows, whatever rank it is. The only thing that's going to change, I think, is that damage when it bursts. So you want to just leave that as low as rank as you can and still get the benefit as if it was max ranked in terms of getting yourself out of there and setting up yourself for potential kills. So the combos are pretty simple. There isn't much of a combo, really. You're gonna lane, you're gonna wipe out minions, you're gonna farm. Okay? An enemy god gets close, you hit him, you get close, and you can't do anything. You pop this, and then they're slowed and you hit that. Boom. 3, 2, 1. That's pretty much the combo right there. And you can also get the hell out of dodge if they're happening. Alright? Another combo you can do is what I'll show you. I'll pretty much just add the ult to that combo I just did. Alright? So, hopefully, because everyone and their sister has CC, someone on your team will have a hard CC, a root, a freeze, a stun. Okay? Because that will set you up for your ult. Ymir, I used this example earlier, Ymir puts his freeze down. He freezes as Odin, right? You ult. Medusa stuns him with her ult. You ult. Hopefully, Medusa stun is pretty good because sometimes it's clustered. Medusas want to get that cluster. So if they're clustered, you can potentially get 3, 4, in your ult. So, and if that doesn't happen, you can do the same thing. 3, 2, 1, and then, ooh, boy, ult. Boom. And that would destroy him. That would literally destroy him. We're actually going to try it on my doppelganger here. As soon as this calms down. As you notice, though, I just used the raw ult, and it's already 20 seconds. The cooldown is 32.5 seconds before any cooldown reduction. I almost got full cooldown reduction. So that is frickin' fast. You can have his cooldown up a lot. You could essentially, quote-unquote, spam it in team fights. Okay. Well, here we go. Oh, you tried doing it, bitch? Boom! There, see? He tried getting me. I got him. Little touch hole. So, that's the combos. I got my stack going. I got my passive. I ran out of here. I'm out of dodge. That's him in a nutshell. Leave any comments down below, any questions, etc. If you want to see a god in the next one, please leave a request. Next one's going to be a warrior. And if it's any god, I'll eventually get him in my rotation. I'm gonna keep doing these until I run out of gods, and then I'll go back and change because the meta changes every patch essentially to some extent. Now, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, because like I said, more Smite videos to come, shenanigans, etc., and other games. You can catch me live on Twitch at Razulum_Inc. Hit my Twitter account for updates of what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, etc., etc. I appreciate you guys sticking around. I really enjoy doing these. I'm not getting thousands of views, but people are viewing these, and it's great to actually know that people are taking these and actually implementing them. So I appreciate it. I really do. I think I've said my piece, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right? Have a good night and peace. I don't know what the hell that was.